I was wondering if any just like Leonard Nimoy does and go.
But when the start gets slow.
Sorry?
Just, I didn't quite understand what you were saying.
Sorry, I talk fast.
No, yes, and I listen slowly.
I was wondering if you had any interest in reprising your role as Kirk and being in the new Star Trek movies like Nimoy does.
The weirdest thing has happened. And I think I can tell you because it's so weird. You won't believe it anyway. So I'm in Australia. I was doing some work in Australia a couple of weeks ago. And I was in Brisbane, and then I took some 3-4 days off and dove, scuba dived and snorkeled at the Great Barrier Reef. And then came back to Sydney and appeared in Sydney. And at that point, somewhere in that time, J.J. Abrams calls me. Calls Los Angeles. And I'm not there. So my assistant calls me and says, J.J. Abrams called, he's going to call back. I said, great, I got my phone. I wonder what J.J. wants. Because the last time I had talked to J.J. was before the first movie came out. And I went to meet him at his office, and he said, are you interested in being in the next, in the Star Trek, the first Star Trek movie? I said, oh yeah. You mean play Captain? No. I'll play Captain Kirk. No. We've got a young, handsome guy to do that. But he handed me a script, and I read the script. And it was terrible. I read this script for the next Star Trek movie. And I didn't, it's like telling somebody, you know that little cute baby you got there? It's the ugliest thing I've ever seen. You know, how do you say it to a mother? Look at my baby, he's the sweetest little baby. That's the ugliest baby I've ever seen. You don't dare say that. So I couldn't say that to JJ. This is the worst script I've ever read, and it's the next Star Trek movie, the beginning of the whole, it's awful. Turned out it wasn't the script at all. He was he had handed out, he wanted, I don't know quite what he was doing, he was assessing whether people were interested in being in the movie, and handing them a script that they must have been a dummy script, because the next script was pretty darn good, and the final movie was really good. But it wasn't this script that I read. So now I get this call, and he's going to call back. And a week and a half goes by, and he never calls back. And it's one of those things. I wonder what J.J. wanted. I wonder if he's going to call back. I mean, maybe it's this whole maybe it's a trick. Maybe it's TMZ. Maybe they'd be that cruel. So he calls, and he says, he's in London, shooting. Guess what he's shooting? Yeah, the other one. He said, I'm calling, Bill, because the director of Star Trek, the next movie, has had an idea where you might be involved. So I'm calling to find out whether you'd be interested. I said, interested? Oh, yeah. I said, as long, you know, if it's meaningful, because when Spock was in that first movie, I said to Leonard, you know you're old when you go back in time and you're still old. So it depends on what you do with the character, but I'd be delighted. He says, okay, now Bill. Silence. No. You can't say anything to anybody. I said, JJ, I won't even tell my wife. I won't tell anybody. Hey, Andy wants me to be up. No, I won't. I wouldn't do that, JJ. I get back from Australia, and it's all over the internet that the director had held an interview and said they wanted Shatner and Nimoy to be in the next movie. I bet you JJ's frothing at the mouth at this point. So the news is out that they have an idea that they want Leonard and myself. They might want Leonard and myself in it. But I'd love to do it. How do you get me 50 years later into the movie? I mean, how do you ration? I know it's science fiction, but even I couldn't come up with an idea. So that's the news on that. You got it?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr. Shatner.
Good afternoon.